Picture these. You wake up tomorrow morning, scroll through your phone, and see the headline. Monkeys have become as smart as humans overnight. Chaos breaks out. Scientists are baffled. Philosophers are having existential meltdowns. And your local zoo just became the most dangerous place on Earth. But here's the thing that nobody wants to admit. This scenario is not just unlikely. It is biologically impossible. Evolution does not work like a video game where you suddenly level up your intelligence stat. It took our ancestors roughly 6 million years to diverge from our common ancestor with chimpanzees. And during that time, countless genetic changes, environmental pressures, and lucky breaks had to align perfectly. If monkeys suddenly gained human-level cognition, they would need approximately 75 million coordinated genetic mutations happening simultaneously across their entire population. To put that in perspective, you have a better chance of winning the lottery every day for a year straight while being struck by lightning each time. Let us talk about what actually makes humans intelligent, because spoiler alert, it is not just about having a big brain. Sure, our brains tripled in size over the past 3.5 million years, growing from around 450 cubic centimeters in Australopithecines to 1350 in modern humans. But Neanderthals had brains just as large as ours, possibly even bigger, and they went extinct 40,000 years ago. The real magic happens at the microscopic level. Humans have roughly 16 billion neurons packed into our cerebral cortex, which is 4 times more than chimpanzees. But it gets better. Our neurons are more interconnected with longer dendrites and more dendritic spines, creating approximately 14 trillion more cortical synapses than chimps. That is more connections than there are galaxies in the observable universe. Evolution did not just make our brains bigger, it rewired the entire architecture to support abstract thinking, language, and the ability to imagine scenarios that do not exist yet. Now imagine trying to retrofit a monkey brain with all of this overnight. First problem, their skulls are not designed to accommodate larger brains. Human evolution had to solve this constraint by extending brain growth after birth, which is why human babies are born so helpless compared to other primates. Female humans also evolved wider pelvises to allow larger-headed babies to pass through during birth. Though this adaptation took millions of years and involved trade-offs like making bipedal locomotion slightly less efficient, monkeys would need to simultaneously evolve new skull structures, altered birth canals, extended childhood development period, and completely different metabolic systems to fuel their energy-hungry new brains. The human brain uses 20% of our total energy, despite being only 2% of our body weight. A monkey spontaneously developing human intelligence would either starve to death immediately or need to evolve an entirely new digestive system and dietary strategy at the same time. But wait, it gets even more complicated. Intelligence is not just hardware, it is software too. The most critical component of human intelligence is language, specifically recursive syntactical language that allows us to communicate complex abstract ideas. This ability depends on the FOXP gene, which underwent crucial mutations around 200,000 years ago, right when anatomically modern humans emerged. This gene does not just affect the brain, it influences vocal tract anatomy, tongue motor control, auditory processing regions, and even lung capacity for sustained speech. Monkeys have FOXP2 too, but their version is different. And changing it would require coordinated modifications across dozens of other genes and physical structures. They would need descended larynxes, refined tongue musculature, altered brain regions like Broca area and Wernicke area, and neural circuits connecting auditory input to motor planning. Oh, and they would also need the cognitive capacity for theory of mind. The ability to understand that other individuals have thoughts and intentions separate from their own, which develops through specific neural pathways that took primates tens of millions of years to evolve. Here is where the scenario gets truly absurd. Even if somehow all these changes happened overnight, which violates every principle of developmental biology and genetics we understand, the newly intelligent monkeys would be utterly unprepared to use their abilities. Human intelligence emerged through cultural accumulation over hundreds of thousands of years. We did not just wake up smart one day. Our ancestors slowly developed tool use, starting with simple stone flakes 2.5 million years ago. progressing to sophisticated hand axes and eventually creating everything from fire to smartphones. Each generation built on the knowledge of the previous one through social learning and teaching, abilities that themselves required evolutionary adaptations. Monkeys suddenly gifted with human-level brains would have the hardware, but none of the cultural software. They would be like someone handed a supercomputer without an operating system or any programs installed. They might have the processing power to understand quantum mechanics, but they would have no framework to even conceive of what quantum mechanics is. So what would actually happen if this impossible scenario somehow occurred? Honestly, it would be catastrophic for everyone involved. Newly intelligent monkeys would immediately face an existential crisis of cosmic proportions. They would suddenly become aware of their own mortality, their place in the universe, and the fact that they have been living in trees and eating bananas their entire lives, while humans have been building civilizations. The psychological trauma alone would be overwhelming. Meanwhile, human society would face an unprecedented ethical dilemma. Do these newly sapient beings deserve rights? Are they a separate species, or the same species with upgraded brains? And most importantly, would they hold a grudge about all those years we kept their relatives in zoos and labs? The good news is, we will never have to answer these questions, because evolution simply does not work this way. Intelligence evolved gradually through millions of years of incremental changes, each one conferring slight survival advantages that accumulated over deep time. There are no shortcuts, no cheat codes, no sudden transformations. Evolution is patient, relentless, and utterly indifferent to our hypothetical scenarios. And honestly, that is probably for the best. Because Planet of the Apes taught us that suddenly intelligent primates rarely have humanity's best interests at heart.